before the age of 23. I was a mother of 5.
When I thought about this podcast, I immediately thought of you and how much you have helped people be relieved of undeserved shame, to have a clean slate.
I'm living paycheck to paycheck. Back then, we used to write the check over the amount to get cash back. So I wrote a check, got some groceries for the kids. Unfortunately, the check bounced. About a couple months later, I had a knock at the door. It was 2 police officers who was asking for my name. It was like, we have a warrant for your arrest. And that day, they took me to jail, and that check was $87.26. You're not able to get a house anywhere you want to because of a record. I can't get school, I can't get a job. 1 out of 3 Americans have an arrest or a conviction. 70 to 100 million people in our country.
In your case, it's for $87.
And I looked at that document and I got so infuriated, angry, in tears. Every pain point that I experienced in my life, I've been able to turn that pain into purpose. But go a step further, advocating for policy that can create power. With a stroke of a pen, I've been able to have 13 states in DC sign into legislation to clear records for almost 18 million people across the country. And that is how I take the shame out.
Shame is something that I believe all of us have experienced. We may not recognize that whatever undeserved shame may be the source of our superpower.
I'm Suzan McDowell.
I am Teri Williams. I am the great-grandchild of my honey, and you're watching Who's Your My Honey? Today on Who's Your My Honey is a woman who was arrested for an $87.26 check. Think about that. She is the CEO of Clean Slate Initiative, who since the inception has passed laws in 13 states and DC and has created a pathway for 18 million people to have their records cleared. She has raised close to $200 million to help her work passing laws in states across the country. And it's a bipartisan, nonpartisan initiative. She has worked to pass laws in blue states and red states because so many Americans have either been arrested or convicted. She raised $75 million from the Audacious Project, all to help Americans get their records clean. 1 out of 3 Americans has been either arrested or convicted. 1 out of 3. All of us have had family members or friends that have experienced the justice system, that have been arrested or convicted. And our guest today is someone who is working to ensure not only that those records are cleaned, but also cleaned automatically. Clean Slate works with policymakers across the country, and we're honored to have her with us today. She has also received, I will add, an honorary doctorate from Cheney University. And this is from someone, again, I remind you, was arrested for an $87.26 check. As a banker, that really annoys me. And I'd like to introduce you all to Sheena Meade. Hi, Sheena.
Hey.
Thank you for being here. I want to share, again, my honey story, just because I learn about it every time I share it. Yeah. We had hired an artist who, if you look around the bank, his art is everywhere. I wanted him to paint a mural on the bank that represented the urban experience. And he was like, really? Like, you really want me to do that? And I was like, yeah.
You let him cook.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And so he's, asked me, like, who are you? And like, how did you become you? And I said to him, well, I went to Brown University. Then I went to work at Bank of America. Then I went to Harvard Business School. Then I went to work at American Express. Then I met my business partner, who is now my husband, and we bought 4 banks. We rolled them into one, and we changed the name to One United and became the largest Black-owned bank in the country. And he was like, that's not what I'm asking. And I still didn't get it. I don't think I got it for like 2 or 3 times him asking me the same question. And then I had this sort of aha moment, like, okay, wait a minute. I think it was my great-grandmother. We called her Ma Honey. Her name, by the way, is Annie Coachman. And she owned a penny candy store where I used to work as a kid. She owned a barbecue pit. She owned a juke joint. And she owned a lot of rental property. And I used to follow her as she went around to collect rent. But until that moment, I didn't realize that she was a businesswoman.
Mm-hmm.
Like that term had never, it hadn't been coined. To me, she was just my great-grandmother. And I also didn't realize that I was getting business lessons from the time I was born. So that by the time I got to Brown and Harvard, it was just a part of who I was. It just came natural. I couldn't understand how I could see what other students couldn't see because it was just already in me. And the reason that I was successful at Brown and Harvard and corporate America and even banking was because of my great-grandmother. And then I said, okay, clearly something is wrong here that me, forgot my great-grandmother. What had happened was, I got to Brown, cultural shock, Ivy League, New England, and they made me ashamed of the fact that I was from Indiantown.
Mm. They made you ashamed or you just felt ashamed?
It's sort of funny that everyone asks that. And I actually think it's both, but you know when people are shaming you.
Yeah.
So again, I always have to paint the picture. I came to Brown with a big red afro, a white tube top, and some hip hugger lime green pants. And I landed on that campus where everybody wearing, what's that, Lacoste and looking all preppy and
panty loafers.
Exactly. Those boat shoes.
You brought the country to Brown, the Southern girl.
Exactly. And they looked at me like, okay, how did you get here? And it was sort of like, you don't belong. That was the feeling I got. I looked at them and said, I don't know you, but I don't like you. You know what I mean? I don't see me in you. To some degree it was mutual, but I was there on their turf, so to speak. And yes, I definitely through the years buried that part of my life. And more than that, gave credit, I hate to put it this way, but gave credit to them for my success when it really began with my great-grandmother.
My honey.
Exactly. So, Miss Sheena.
Yes.
Queen Sheena.
Yes.
Who's your my honey?
Yes. Well, I want to first say thank y'all for having me here. And congratulations on getting out the group chat, because we've been chatting about this. You're like, I got this idea and I think I'm going to do this thing. And she was talking about people. I was like, wait, sign me up.
Yep, you did say that.
Because when you shared that story about your honey.
You had already were in my mind. I was like, oh yeah, I got to have Sheena.
Yeah, because it's such a powerful story and that I take with me in the work that I do in my everyday life about my honey. I think, when I was reflecting about my honey when you first shared your story, I was trying to think of a person and people and a woman kind of similar to you, which I think we have. It could be many people that could be multiple my honeys in your life. But as you was talking and you coined it with the shame that you may bear, I think my children are my honey. So for folks who don't know, I was a teen mother at the age of 14. I was a teen mother then again at the age of 16. I don't know if my mom was paying the cable bill, what was happening, but I was a mom again, so when I graduated high school, I graduated with 2 children on my hips and graduated high honors, but then got married young, and before the age of 23, I was a mother of 5. But that early part of just, walking around with your children, especially as a Black woman, I could be in the grocery store and they could look at a young Black woman and kids and go, oh. They start asking you very invasive, not pointed nice questions, pointed questions, and how old are you? How are your kids? All that. Versus when I've seen people walk through with who may not look like me, it's like so fruitful.
Yes.
Look at God. Plus, children, all that.
Children are blessed.
Children are blessed and so fruitful. Multiply.
Yes.
But it's all baby kids when I came, Sheena kids and so. But my children have that experience of being a young mother, being this indirect shame that people will try to give to me, not knowing my story or what might have led to me being such a young mother or whatever that was, has turned into some, what can I say, like an armor that has allowed me to endure many battles in my life and become the woman I am today. And so it was never the shame of my children, because I never would have someone, that wasn't, but it was a journey of motherhood, of being a young mom, young Black mom. Yeah, and I mean, I can even tell you the story when after I had my last son, I remember going to the doctor. Now, mind you, I would get into my story of me being on public assistance and stuff like that, but this time I was so happy I had a job. I had a good W-2, well, I thought. And I went to the doctor, and I had some issues, and the doctor was really pushing this sterile procedure on me. Like, wanted me to, like, to, like, get it, like,
sterilize,
and I remember feeling conflicted, like, I don't know if I want to do this. I was not married, but I was like, I'm only 20-something. I'm like, I don't know, my beau ass may come sometime down the line later. I know these nutheads I'm with now ain't doing.
But Boaz is gonna show up.
He out there somewhere.
He's out there somewhere. He gonna be here in a minute.
In a minute. He came.
He
was on Moses' time now. He was lost in the wilderness.
5 minutes, baby, but he was there.
But when they did that, I remember calling my grandma, who's one of my mom honeys. And I called my grandma. I said, Grandma, they trying to make me blah, 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 get my tubes tied. She said, baby, you don't gotta let them do that. Then I thought about it. My grandma had 9 kids. I said, tie them up. I said, sorry.
Yeah, what does she know? She's clearly not a good example.
This is not the car. Call for sweet potato pie. The dresses are
You called the wrong person.
I called the wrong person.
Called the wrong one.
Grandma said, no, baby. I said, they didn't talk about contraception with my grandma. Yeah, so. But my mom, honey, I think, if I had to point it out, my kids, my babies, my heartbeats, my 5 heartbeats.
So I'm going to ask you the question. Did you feel, well, you said you didn't feel shame, but you sort of asked me in a way, like, did they make you feel shamed, or did you feel it? Like, do you know what I mean? Were you reading into it, or did they actually say something that made you feel that way?
I didn't I knew what they was doing. I mean, I got so used to it. I already knew what the next question was.
Yes.
How old is your son? And how old are you? They do
do the math.
I'm like, baby, you doing math? You want me to just tell you? Yeah, I was ignorant, because I'll go right back, During that time, you say you're from Indiantown, when in my early 20s, I lived in St. Lucie County. So we come from the same cloth a little bit there. I got raised in that country style, so I was getting a little ignorant if they wanted to on that. So I was ready for the clapbacks, I guess is what I'm trying to say for the people who don't know what that means. But no, it was just those pointed questions, or how folks, just make assumptions. But I knew my story. So I didn't let that shame, But now as an adult, I even came back with that shame, trying to understand the weight that I might have been on my mother, what shame she had to carry for that, having a young daughter, as a teen mom.
Thinking, what did she do
wrong? What did I do wrong?
Right.
And embarrassment in front of her friends.
Hearing her defend me and stuff like that. We didn't have find my child and locations and GPSs on our kids back then. I was just outside, with my friends. Yeah, so she, my mom was working and trying to make ends meet and things, stuff like that. Yeah, so, and she was also a teen mother. And so, but I'm happy that, all my children are grown. I'm a grandma now. I'm a she. And I got to break, at least my kids was able to
break the cycle.
Break the cycle, yeah. So
it's great.
Married, college, yeah.
Beautiful.
Amazing. So, I want to continue your story, because really your life work, and it probably from that experience has made you focus on
advocacy, social justice.
Right.
Yeah.
And turning pain into power and purpose. Can we talk about that? How did that happen?
Yeah. I tell people that every pain point that I experienced in my life, I've been able to turn that pain into purpose. But go a step further, advocating for policy that could create power. I don't know why I got stuck on these P's, but I was like, it sounds good.
Yeah.
It relates to my life.
Policy, power, purpose.
Yeah. And so whether it was, food insecurity, I advocated for food, against food deserts, making sure that kids had SNAP, passing bills to make sure that school lunches were available during the summertime. I fought for that legislation, getting signed on for that. Whether it was around for like housing, I benefited from government housing. I used it as a stepping stone not to get stuck in it. I didn't want to get stuck in that cycle. You know, whether it was I was the policy chair for Head Start program out of St. Lucie County, representing the families of Head Start because my kids had access to early Head Start. And then later in life, you know, the work that I'm doing now, fight for people who are just as impacted, making sure they have a second chance and opportunities.
So I want to journey to part of what prompted Clean Slate is your experience with the criminal justice system. Can you share that story or what had happened? What happened? Yeah.
Well, what happened was, So I could get to that story. Let me prior to that story, I just want to say that. So fast forward from out of teen, you know, being a teen mom and stuff like that. Boaz did come.
Yes, he did.
Yes, he did.
He did.
Ruth was working in the garden. Boaz came, and so I married my husband Desmond, and based out of Miami. He's from Miami, Florida. And he had a vision to change the Constitution to restore voting rights to 1.4 million people. And I went along that journey with him, and that happened. And that sparked something in me. And so...
Can I just pause there? Because a good friend of ours, Leroy, this is before I met you, a good friend Jones. Leroy, that your husband's work got him his voting. He was so excited about being able to vote. And I don't remember what election it was, but he was like, he was voting. But anyway, go ahead.
So that would have been the 2020 election.
Okay.
That most of those folks were able to do their first time voting.
Okay.
And so, so that's spoken to some of the work that I do now. But when I reflected back, in 2004, again, at this time, newly separated, divorced, we got hit with 2 back-to-back hurricanes. I don't know if y'all remember. I think it was like Charlie, one that did it spun and did a U-turn. It's like, wait, coming back. And like hit us, y'all remember that year? Like, and then another hurricane came. Baby, them FEMA checks was good though. You know, I was young when I was single mom.
Listen, those FEMA did a
Baby,
lot.
I was like, the couch don't look right. But
I don't like this room anymore. I need a new room.
It allowed me to move into a new place. And I was like, God, it turned, okay, we'll talk to her. Yeah. So but it was also devastating to our communities, like all the things that was happening during that time.
Insurance companies picked up and left. All of them.
Yeah. So, you know, so it was impacting. I'm living paycheck to paycheck. And I tell people, just like back in the day when we used a thing called checks. I know today we use tap, but it was this instrument. It was check. Y'all understand? Y'all, you know.
Yes. Yeah.
And so I went to the grocery store because I needed to get cash back. And I tell folks it was like I was living paycheck to paycheck, being that type of broke where either you have gas in the car, but you don't got no insurance in the car, so you can't move it, or vice versa. And I needed some money to get me over. And so back then we used to write the check over the amount to get cash back. So I wrote a check, got some groceries for the kids, got some things. And unfortunately the check bounced. But not only did it bounce, it got returned. Now I ain't know nothing about a return check back then. And they probably sent it in the mail, and I take accountability for that, and probably was like, well, I ain't got it. Y'all get it when I get paid. And I remember, because this wasn't uncommon too, not only for myself, but for other people, you'll write a check on a Thursday or a Wednesday, and you be praying, you even try to post-date that check, praying that they don't deposit that check. Until payday. So that was the spirit it was in. Like, Lord, please let the mail get held up just one more day.
And you can really depend on those 2 days, but every once in a while.
Yeah, until they start doing electronic, and then they pull it right out.
You're like, wait a minute, what about my 2 days?
Yeah. And so about a couple months later, I had a knock at the door. And it was 2 police officers who was asking for my name. It was like, we have a warrant for your arrest. And I'm sitting here like, what? And I'm green. I just opened the door. I don't know what the cops was doing. You know, I never was in trouble, and they got a arrest for your warrant. I was so green. I didn't know what was happening. So I had this nosy neighbor that lived in the back of me that always looked out her back door. Just the day I was happy she was looking out the back door. So she came over trying to see what was going on. And I was so green, I was like, I don't know what's going on, but can y'all pick me up around the corner, and I'll be out there in a second. That cop looked at me like, if you don't get your behind in the stairs, no, we got to go. And that day, they took me to jail, and that check was $87.26.
And you got to go to jail for $87.26.
Oh yeah, the
A
bond
whole
was
jail.
the bond was $500.
No, what I'm saying is like that amount of money.
I know, but
change your whole life.
Yeah, but hear me. The bond to get out.
Oh, the bond was $500 more than
and
what
the
you
cost that
owed.
it took the cops to come out. And only by the grace of God, my neighbor came and got the kids because I was Section 8. You know, my house was under Section 8. Like, it's so many things that could have went wrong, but it tells you how our system is so jacked up and how people get stuck, you know, for one moment. And so then, you know, paid the check off. And, you know, my mom always had told me, you get locked up, don't call. You know, most Black families, we don't heard that, don't call. I didn't call it though. But the judge got me, you know, because of off your own recognizance or something like that. So I was able to come home and paid the check back, paid the fees, went to court, did all this stuff, diversion. And I thought like my sentence was done then. Like, you did it. Like, all right, my bad. I didn't even look at it as like a criminal. I didn't understand. You just don't know. You're like, what? But the true sentence starts then. Because then you're not able to get a house anywhere you want to because of a record. Employment's hard. Landlords check, you know, backgrounds. I think it's 90% of landlords, 70% of employers, 74% employers, 70% of universities. When I tried to go, you know, pull myself up by the bootstraps, now I want to go to college, to a university, they're asking me to go check this box and go find, you know, get all the paperwork and show that you're redeemable before, like, so wait, I can't get school, I can't get a job. And then to even have a lower blow, a few years later, I'm trying to take my son to a field trip, and I met with that question again, do you have an arrest or conviction before we could allow you to chaperone your child to school? Yeah, so it's daunting, it's a lot. So I didn't let that necessarily define me. Like, I found work in other ways, got involved in social justice, which is not, usually you're not checking boxes, but it was always there. And it, you know, it impacts millions of people. 1 out of 3 Americans have an arrest or a conviction.
1 out of 3.
1 out of 3.
1 out of 3, wow.
Yeah. 70 to 100 million people in our country.
Wow.
70 million to 100 million have an arrest or a conviction.
Arrest or a conviction. Yeah, so when people sometimes think about the criminal justice system, they think about people who's been in prison, incarcerated.
Yes.
There's plenty of people that have been arrested and gone and all the things. So.
Well, I mean, we know people, of course.
Yeah, we have family members.
But this, in your case, is for $87.
And
like
26 cents.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, so it was funny. So I did a TED Talk in 2023. It got like over close to 2 million views. I got to go to Vancouver and do my TED Talk. So as I'm preparing for the TED Talk, they make you fact check and do all these things. So when I used to tell the story before, I'm like, yeah, I wrote this check almost $100 because that's kind of how I remembered it. Again, I didn't let it sit too hard. And so they're like, well, we need a fact check. We need to know if it was really a sunny day, if it was a Wednesday. We need you. So I went to go pull the documents. To go see,
a sunny day.
You know, because they don't want nobody coming from the
TED.
That was like
all the fact checking.
Yeah, they was like, don't say sunny if you don't think it was sunny. I was like, because you know they want to vote confidence that the story is true.
That's true.
So I pulled the I said, all right, well, let me get the amount of the check. And this is actually, I didn't find out the amount or remember the amount until
so you had to prove it.
Yeah, and I looked at that document and I got so infuriated, angry, in tears. I remember slacking my team and I was like, I'm just pissed off. It actually changed the trajectory of my speech. Because I was like, who the hell would arrest me? And so I'm looking at the document. It's like the state of Florida document that's with the district attorney that says, like, in good faith, we approve this warrant. You know, I went to go Google this lady name. I said, what's this lady?
What's she doing right now?
What's her home address?
I was like, Sheena, pipe down. What are you going to do?
What you gonna do?
Miss CEO.
Leave her alone.
I'm going to leave that Stewart Indian town for a second to see background. And so, but I was so angry because I was like, did she know how she impacted, like how this impacted my life? Why? They could have.
With a flick of a pen.
Right.
Your whole life changed.
With a stroke of a pen.
Stroke of a pen.
But let me tell you what I'm doing with that pen now. With a stroke of a pen. I've been able to have 13 states in DC sign into legislation to clear records for almost 18 million people across
That's
the country.
crazy.
So 13 states
Can we
in
please
DC.
find that lady? I would like to find that lady.
Yeah, it's the system. So, I was on the Angela Yee podcast, and so she had posted all these clips of me talking, and they put the clip of me to 8726, click. And then some people in the comments, that's why they say, don't read the comment. They're like, girl, she was doing something else. She ain't doing it. That. I was like, And so then I go down, and then I ain't had to say nothing because people was like, nah, back in 2004, this happened to me. Back in 2000. And so it's the retail business. And I never knew who I wrote the check to. In my mind, I thought I went to this grocery store. But actually, I went to Walmart, who gets all the business of Black and brown folks. They're in our community.
It was Walmart
that I wrote the check to. So that just means that the retail industry was doing a big push, for this threshold. And I haven't looked at the law to see if it's changed now, but they have been a partner with Fair Chance Hiring, full circle, that I'm at an event that they're sponsoring, that I'm speaking at. I didn't say that at the TED stage because I'm like, I don't want no smoke. Well, I didn't mind smoke. Ted didn't want no smoke.
Yeah.
I was like, nah, I'll pull out the gun. Let me, And then I went to a conference and I realized that they were the marquee sponsor and their executives was in the room. And it was like, Sheena, I was a sponsor. Ooh. It's like, Sheena, we'd like you to come get some remarks. I think I will. Thank you. I got up there, and that's the first time I actually said their name. And I looked at the eye of the execs. I said, but we believe in second chances. Oh, wow. So I was like, so we want to make sure that you are making sure that you are not pushing legislation that is locking more people up, but also giving people second chances. Like, you can't be on this end, but not the full end. So I think it's something for us to think about when we think about policies that's being created. Yeah, because it was a lot of families during that time who were like also getting arrest cases and like quickly. And so when people think about crime and offenses, they think the worst thing, but there are many people.
Yeah. Smaller little things that
survival,
are impacting lives.
Offenses that were survival based.
Well, to the point where people just didn't even believe your story because they thought it couldn't have been that.
They was like, ain't no way.
Yeah,
you got all the way here for $87.
Yes.
Well, because also in different zip codes, if I was, and let me tell you, my bank called me more now that I got a little bit of coin.
Yes.
They called me just to check on me. I was like, ooh,
yes.
Because now I'm like,
where were you then?
Because now they call like, how, what happened?
Yeah.
They're like, no, we just want to know how you doing. If you want to where was y'all then?
Where were you then?
To say, Sheena, so.
Give you the benefit of the doubt, no. Now they want to give you the benefit of the doubt.
But, there's a lot to that too.
But it also, sort of interesting that you would tell this story because as a bank, every now and then things happen. And you do have the discretion to call the police or not. And for us, it's not.
Yeah.
And, that whole like banking while Black, you can see how, a branch manager, a teller or someone misconstrues someone and then calls the cops. And
so they're having a bad day and they call the cops.
Well, and
clocking you because they don't think there's Black financial independence.
Yeah. So, that was an example where someone, probably if you were in a different zip code, would not have signed that warrant.
Yeah. It's right. It was not only the bank, but then also our elected officials. Yeah. That was somebody who was in a position to be able to say, we're not processing it.
Right.
First of all, that doesn't make sense.
Doesn't make sense.
For taxpayer dollars.
Costs more to process it than the actual check.
That's what she was saying. Just to send the police out there costs more than that $87.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, if I when the police picked me up, I remember one cop, when I went back into reflection, because I just remember, people say, you remember how people make you feel. The one cop made me just feel so just like shit, excuse my language, bleep it out. And the one cop, now that I think back, he was just feeling empathetic, like, why are we here, And this lady got her kids. And then I could see, and I hope that the other man's frustration wasn't about me, but that the frustration that he's out here having to do something like this. That's what I'm gonna leave with me. I'm gonna try to take good intent with that. But
we got real criminals and you got over here arresting you for
A
$87.
mom for $87.
When there's lots of real criminals.
Right, exactly.
There are a lot of people making mistakes.
Making mistakes.
Making
Bigger mistakes.
Making bad choices. And so, yeah, that's what I would say.
That was an important correction. I'm just wondering why you corrected
Yeah, because
it.
I mean, I think because we get caught up in this narrative of criminals and you know, so still a criminal, like, you know, people, they like to say, you know, we have to give these criminals and like,
yeah, the word criminal.
or
felons.
these felons or whatever.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
If you don't lie once, I'm like, you know, this ex-liar, Terry. Am I starting out with that?
Yeah.
Or ex this
Exactly.
or ex that or whatever.
Exactly.
Right.
Is that
So
what
it's a
you're gonna
narrative
lead
that
with?
stays with you. Or like take something else. Terry's in banquet. Terry decides just to go be that fashion model and just living on her yacht. So I'm gonna say the ex-banker. You know, like we keep these narratives with folks, and this narrative does not help. We see it on our TV. We see it we even see it in our kids' cartoons now where they got like the police and a robber, or for Halloween. I just came back from a trip from Berlin where they have really focused on the narrative of how they talk about people, treat people. And this came after the war. And they, you know, when I went to Berlin and went to the Holocaust Museum and went to concentration camps, and like so their prisons are designed to never go back to the way concentration camps happened, to how they talked about people to get them to that place. And so they changed narrative. And when we were talking to some of the people that were housed in the prison, they're open prisons, they wear regular clothes, all the things, and crime is low. They were like, so is it that bad in the United States?
As bad as we see.
No, as bad as we portray on TV. Like we portray that as always, we portray a lot of fear and
Right,
crime.
exactly. It's crime everywhere.
Crime is at the lowest
and we're,
that it has ever been in the last 15, 20 years.
Yes.
But it's the narrative. And so, the correction is like, we have to start correcting the narrative. You know, it may not be a popular opinion though, but during the last election, there was a narrative of like prosecutor against felon when it was about Harris and Trump. And it came from a lot more people on the left. And I remember like, I was at the NAACP conference or somewhere. I was at the DNC to go speak. And I remember saying, I didn't think that I would have to preach to the choir, but sometimes a choir could get out of tune. So let me get y'all back on song. The things that we fought against, the narratives and stuff like that, we can't be leading with that. And so, we got to change narrative. Narrative change means so much. I could change policy. We could change public perception. But if we're still talking about things the same way, passing policy, we're not gonna change public perception if we keep on the same narrative. So I've invested a lot into narrative change and how we talk about people and things.
So this is about undeserved shame, right?
Yeah.
Where people are making me feel ashamed of coming from Indiantown. And what you strive to do is to relieve people of undeserved shame, not being defined by their worst
record.
day or their record, and freeing them from that undeserved shame.
Yep.
How do you do it? And then maybe, I want to know the answer to that, but I also want you to tell us a story of the impact of that.
Yeah.
Because that's what I am trying to do, get people to let go of their undeserved shame.
Yeah.
But you're actually doing the physicality of it, like by eliminating their record, so that they no longer have to define themselves as a felon or as having a criminal record.
Or other people defining them. So
or other people,
That's no longer a hurdle. You might have other hurdles, but this not one of them.
like we have many records in our life.
Yes.
We have our records of when we were born,
birth record,
when you got your degree,
marriage record,
when you started your show.
Yes.
Check systems record.
Yeah. But people want to zoom in on this one moment that you had this one record. That doesn't define all your achievements or everything, all the things. It's what do I say? It's like a scarlet letter of shame that people hold. And it's not that they're leading with it, but it's the systems that are designed. If I'm saying that, no, I'm gonna go further myself like I did. I want to get a degree. I want to show my kids that I'm gonna finish what I started or I had to put on hold. But then when I met with a system that says, wait a minute, you have an arrest. Don't even know why I was arrested. We need to know more about that. And we got to see if you should be here. Putting shame or fear that, what do I want to do? You know? So that's one thing. But I'll tell you this. I don't know if I have the magic wand on how to remove the shame, but I'm hoping I could do my part and have that piece written in history. I'll give you a story. So I just went to Connecticut for with the governor and some of the partners who are leading the work there for Clean Slate that got passed some years ago. They finally got their systems right to start erasing the records. I'll tell you 2 stories. And so I'm sitting up there at the press conference.
Can I pause you for a second? So what you do is not just change the policy, you work with states so that it's systematically erased. So people don't have to like...
The burden is no longer on the person.
So it's reciprocal to all the states?
No. It's not reciprocal.
Okay.
But for a particular state who does this...
Oh, so let me break. So let me break it down. So I told you how the stats, how many people were impacted. There are over 30 million people who are eligible today to get the records cleared.
Oh, wow.
Today. Now, that's not due to me. That's just the system. The law says once you remain crime-free, every state is different. Once you remain crime-free for certain offenses, you are eligible to get your record sealed and cleared. The problem is there's so much red tape. There's places that could charge you, like Louisiana, $500 per offense to even apply.
Oh, wow.
The waiting time could be long, close to 10 to 15 years after before you can even apply.
What?
There's backlogging systems. People don't know where to start. They don't know where to go even start to get the record cleared. Like, where do I go?
Did they even know they can't get their record
Or
cleared?
know that they can't get their record.
Yeah.
So it's 30 million, because
30 million out of the 70 to 100 million, 30 million are eligible to get it cleared.
Less than 10% of people pursue it because of all the barriers I'm talking about.
Wow.
So, and you have to do a petition. And sometimes you don't go back to the place. You got to find people, move, all the things happen. And so what we've been able to do is automate that process in the places where we're like, where's already eligible, work with partners on the ground to make sure they, advocate for the legislation, to automate that process. And we work with the government to make sure it's streamlined and that is implemented well. People pass policies all the time and then you don't ever hear it implemented. So 13 states and DC have implemented. In 2023, when Michigan went into implementation, day 1 of implementation, 1 million people records got cleared.
Oh, wow.
The lady who was at that press conference actually sent me an email afterwards. Her name is Elvina, who was struggling with trying to get a job in her field of finance for 18 years, couldn't even participate in her child's cafeteria room as a volunteer. And she's like, I love what I do. I love finance. I love doing this. She goes, my charge wasn't even finance related. I never done drugs or alcohol a day in my life, but I had to go to drug court. I had to get tested. I had to pay for that. So she sent me an email, and when you looked at the email, I couldn't see nothing in it. Like, it looked blank from my phone. I said, well, I'll check it when I get to my desk. And when I went, it was a screenshot of the state website with her name with nothing appearing. She said, nothing never meant so much.
Oh, wow.
And then a year later, she sends me an email just as a balloon. And I'm like, here you go again. But I'm not remember that, she's just quick on her. And she's like, happy Clean Slate Day. Now I go back to my work day to day, and it just took me a moment. I shared with my team, like, this moment is big for people. This was momentums in her life that she's like, this is the day my record got cleared. And so fast forward 3 years later, I just came from Connecticut with the governor and our partners, and it was a lady named Mrs. Smith. And she was trying to get a pardon for a few years. And one of the advocates who work on our issue said, well, Mrs. Smith, just wait. Hope is on the way. Talk about clean slate. She said, but nobody knows the weight of having to wait.
Oh, that's a powerful statement. The weight of having to wait.
The weight of having to wait. When I need right now to have good housing, when I need to be able to get my kids in school, when I want to, get an education, when I want to live a thriving life. And so, now she goes, I got my record clear. So she's talking about her record getting clear. And we was all crying. I mean, I had some strips on. So for today, I went and got me some individuals just in case y'all wanted me to start crying. I was like, yeah, these things ain't gonna be flipping and flopping on your TV screen. But she said a few weeks later, she goes, I was able to go apply for a job. She goes, with my head held high, my back up straight, walking in knowing that they was looking at my qualifications and not going to define me by a record that they could no longer see. And that is how I take the shame out.
So she walked in confident.
Confident.
She wasn't afraid they were
And
going to
she
catch
landed
her.
that job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Very good at it.
Yeah. Even the story of Elvina, she talked about how she would get to as a finalist. And, you know, in front of like a board of folks to like for a job. And it could be that one person says, well, let me ask you about your record. That had nothing to do. And she was like, but I just went through, y'all see I'm well qualified. So yeah, try to remove that shame. And that's why narrative change is so important. The way we talk about it, the way TV, media pursue stuff, yeah.
Wow. It's sort of difficult to compare my honey to Clean Slate. You know, it wasn't like I was having to live with a record. You know what I mean? But I definitely feel that sense of relief. Like I finally know like who I am.
But that was your record. Like your record was like, that's what I'm talking about. You're not your record, but the record of you being in Indian Town, all those memories, all those things that, you know, I guess it is not like you're saying, it's not the same, but that was the thing that you was taking with you, but it actually defined you and made you better. Like, you know, same with me, like, you know, that moment, that journey, when I would have never thought.
Where would you be without the $87.26?
Experience, yeah. Where would you be? Like how it clearly is the source of your superpower. Because at that moment, you knew what it felt like and you did not want anybody else to feel that way. Yeah. So something, it ignited in you. I mean, I'm saying this. Is that true? Is it? I mean, it feels like it's true.
I have so many different moments in my life, you know, but yeah, I feel that like I said, every pain point has turned around for purpose. You know, I remember when I did my TED Talk at the same time, I had received $75 million to expand my work across the country. I said, look at God, I never thought that $87.26 I could flip it.
I'm gonna make it
flip that thing.
$75 million.
Yeah. I was like, for the people.
Can we find that, judges? Yes. I would like to find that, ladies. I would just like to say, we'd like to roll up to her house and be like, you like me now.
I think, you know, the way we do that, you know, is being able to pass Clean Slate in Florida.
More people,
Yeah.
So that's the revenge.
Yeah. So even today, I don't have a clean slate, because our laws are so constrained here in Florida.
Really?
You could have so, you know, there's a thing too, I think people don't understand that, you know what a non-conviction is. Means so you get arrested and they're like, oh, I'm mistaking you for Teri. We're gonna drop it. So you're like, all right, yeah, I'm clean. That's a non-conviction.
Okay. I didn't mean
But you've still been arrested.
But you've still been arrested, but your non-conviction could still, you only allowed, I believe it's like in Florida, you're only allowed to get one non-conviction off your record. Most times when Black and brown people get caught up, you get 2 or 3 offenses, but even though you only get one non-conviction off. That doesn't make sense. I know your brain ain't processing it fast enough.
It's not.
It ain't. You gotta watch the tape, because it ain't going to, because it doesn't make sense that you can't get a non-conviction off your record.
Yeah, it's a non-conviction.
Yeah, so there are plenty of people who have like been arrested. Maybe they beat their case, but yet the arrest is still showing up. So we're also working on making sure that could be, you know, a lot of states have taken that on, that automatically comes off.
I have actually a family member who was arrested and convicted of driving without insurance, and this person went to jail.
Convicted? For driving without insurance? Whoa.
Yeah.
I was like, what the heck? Like, what the? So first of all, I was like, why didn't you call me? She needed the money to pay the insurance.
Teri, I know everybody call you because you the bank. You the real bank.
She's a literal bank.
She's a little bank. Teri, can you be my cousin? But Teri the bank.
Can we be related?
Yeah.
But I didn't know you could go to jail for that. Jail. So this person has a conviction.
Crazy.
She was driving while broke. That's what it's.
Yeah, exactly. And so it's sort of like that. That's when you realize that this isn't about crime as we're thinking of it.
Yeah.
You know, this is administrative. This is financial.
Well, I can add to this. So let me tell you, I'm glad that hopefully your cousin got it all worked out. So when I was like 19, 20, I worked at. Matter of fact, I worked at Martin CI, the correctional institution. I worked at a prison, a maximum security male prison. It was my first state job, and I was in classification, so I got to look at the books or what you want to say, like, you know, there's stories. Honey, I thought I was on CSI. I was like, what happened? Because they do like a post-in investigation.
Very interesting.
So
You're like learning all kinds of
I
stuff.
was like, so the mom and the daddy, okay.
This is soap opera.
I was like, he needed a counselor. He needed prison, you know. But the thing that was overwhelming was in the state of Florida, I don't know where it's at today, but I'm telling you for that during that time, driving on habitual suspended license would get you almost 5 to 10 years. There were people in there who were in prison.
For not having a driver's license.
More than once. So I'll give you a story that rings to mind is that this person got habitual driving. Then you have to get a special insurance. That's like $500 a month. That's expensive. If you already didn't have money to get the insurance, what makes you, if you want to get it,
insurance,
and you got to do that if you say, I want to get to work. Or then if you get your license suspended because you back behind on child support while you're trying to get to work. So now you get caught again and now you habitual, that's 3 times. Now you got a felony on your record and could be in prison.
Doesn't it have a 3 strikes you're out rule?
That's for guns.
Oh.
You
gun-related.
You remixing all the stuff.
Listen, I have my own experience with family members in jail. Trust me, I understand.
They said you would have been.
That's what exactly.
She's the Vaughn's woman. It could be for the driver. I'm not sure where it's at today, but I know it just didn't like the stories, like the people that I knew or that I knew that got caught up. It was like, yeah, well, my license got suspended because my child support. Then I had to get the insurance so I could get to work.
It's like compounds.
It just keeps
compounding and compounding.
And who is it helping? Not our economy, not the people that is hurt, not the children who needs the support, not the schools that the children are going to, not the tax base.
And not this person that could be out making a good living without that hindrance to then contribute more to society and over.
Let me tell you something. Having a job, there's research that shows that it lessens recidivism, meaning people don't go back.
Right.
I have yet to meet somebody who got a good job, was like, nah, I'm about to go ahead and go flip something.
Go to jail,
Because I feel like, no. People want to be able to live whole.
To work.
But there's a whole financial structure that's tied to people being in jail.
Oh yeah, that's like,
you know what I mean? It's a whole like war is money. You see war, you see somebody making a lot of money. So private prisons, all of that whole thing.
We have a lot of private prisons in Florida,
The government gets to pick at you for all these little things that is revenue source.
Yep.
So Sheena, you, I guess I have 2 questions. One is your work is nonpartisan.
Bipartisan.
Bipartisan, is that what it's called?
Well, nonpartisan. We're C3, so it's nonpartisan. But it's bipartisan, meaning that I work with people across the aisle, no matter their political ideology. I've passed clean slate in red states, blue states, and purple states.
Is there such a thing as a Democrat or Republican in jail? Like when you're in prison, do you care?
Ain't nobody saying discrimination.
Exactly. And I think that's why you get support because, like you said, 70 to 100 million. That
and everybody's
means
impacted.
Everybody knows somebody that's had some criminal justice experience.
And people you don't know, like you have folks who sometimes literally forget because it's like so long away. Y'all still clocking that. That's what y'all talk about. You also, you have folks that are living in it with the shame and the stigma who their spouses don't know. I've had people who don't even know that it's like my spouse don't know about this.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, my children don't know. Yeah.
Secrets.
So that was actually my second really point or question is, what would you say to people that have been living with this shame, but may have some hope that their slate would be clean?
Yeah. That you're not defined by that one moment. You're not defined by that moment. And that there are people out there that are working to make sure that you can live wholly. I'm just doing one piece of the pie. But there are many organizations who are doing stuff to really shrink the system that you just talked about. And I think they got to change the narrative how they feel about themselves first and don't operate under what society has said who they are. They should lead with being a mother, a father, a grandparent. Baby, we got pastors. leave with other titles, other things, there other records that they're proud of in their, in their life. The completion of school, not that one moment.
Important, yeah. Not your worst moment or your best moment.
Yeah.
Like neither one of those moments is who you are.
Yeah,
It's a combination of all of it.
Yeah. Because if y'all hold me to my best moment, baby.
Listen. I'm like,
y'all might be disappointed. Y'all might not, y'all not might not bring me back to my 100. I want to come in for season 2.
Because you got some good moments.
Yeah.
I mean, okay, so like the first time you got this done, like, fine, voted in, done. Like, how did you feel? The first time you had it done, you must have been like.
For Clean Slate?
Yes, elated that all your work had come to pass.
I think it's not till you hear the stories of like Elvina, Miss Smith. I'll tell you about Mary from Connecticut, also from Connecticut. She sent a nice email. She's in our PSA, if y'all could, share that with your audience. And she's in there talking about her, her moments. And she said for the first time I got to apply for an apartment in my own name and got approved in over like, I don't know, she said 10 years, 14 years, something like that. And she sends us a beautiful email. It's those moments when people are like that. Or when I'm trying to be all spruced up looking like Teri, y'all, and I'm out here and somebody says, I never knew your story. And actually I have a story and you give me hope that you're doing this, or seeing someone with a lived experience leading this. And so, I just encourage them. I just speak life.
You give people the permission to be like, don't have it all together.
You ain't by yourself. I was like, baby, you think you're the only one who got that?
I know, right? You think you it?
You think you it? Baby, let me.
I'm like, I spent a lot of time in jail. I mean, I don't mean like me in jail, but I spent a lot of time at the South Florida Correction Center.
Let me hold your hand. You can tell us. Go ahead.
No, I spent a lot of time in a lot of jails visiting family members, and I've seen all of it. And so, this is very lovely, but I spent a lot of time in jail. I went to jail every Sunday for 7.5 years.
Wow.
7.5 years. I was in jail with my family.
Yeah.
And my job was to make friends with the guy at the commissary.
Yes.
So I had a lot of commissary boyfriends.
Okay.
That were one of them sent me flowers one time, and I was like, oh, wait.
Yeah.
Like, so but every single time my family member moved, we moved with him.
And that's a beautiful
Always
support. There. Like, I commend you, and I thank you for that. That's a beautiful support.
He's never even gotten a ticket since then. We got out,
and that helped him probably not recidivate, and like that shame of like, I don't want my family to have to like take away their Sunday to come here, but it's the same support for the people who has never been to jail or prison, the people that we're helping. Like, I know y'all do that with like One United, being able to let people have a second chance of banking,
stuff like that.
Yeah. She had literally a checking account.
Yeah.
You could get after your check system.
Yeah. I mean, I was one of them people. Mine was in check system. I was like, damn, they clocking everything, check system, everything. But I think it's people don't realize how many barriers. There's over 42,000 collateral consequences that are tied to having a record.
Wow.
I mean, my husband, who organization has been nominated for a Nobel Peace Prize, couldn't even get an Airbnb, got denied an Airbnb.
Whoa.
My husband, who have a street named after him in Miami-Dade, and has a whole day here in Miami-Dade.
Oh, wow.
We still were denied rental.
Couldn't
like,
get
it
an
doesn't, it does not have respective of person.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why we got to change the system.
Yeah. Wow.
Interesting.
Thank you for sharing that.
And your skin's perfect.
Yeah.
All at the same time. Well, no, the public pain of being arrested in front of your family. Like, I remember my mother also was not great with money. And I remember being in the grocery store and them like looking at my mom like, are you about to come in here with a bad check again?
Oh.
Like, we see you. And I was like, oh. So, yeah, I mean, I remember.
Girl, I remember my grandma used to maybe break off that food stamp coupon off her thing. I was ashamed of that.
Those food stamps, like, and the brown ones were like the $1. Trust me,
and then the clerk was like, we need help on
a
single food stamp.
Food stamp.
Well, what the hell? Yeah.
No, there's a lot of ways around a food stamp.
Again, I'll tell you, I was so green. I was green. They done added, they helped me get out my greenness real quick. So I didn't really understand the magnitude of that moment in that moment.
Probably not till you get told no all these times over and over. And you're like, you're still talking about that $87. You're going to tell me no for this because that $87 over and over and over.
But I think, but I'm saying, going back to your question about the rest of front of the children, like, the kids are crying, mommy, they don't know. I had the neighbor who was there, who had the kids. And I'm just being scared in that moment, I'm getting green. Listen, they took me to the jail and I'm in there and I'm crying and snotting and crying. You would have thought I just got hit with like about 5 different felony convictions for real. I didn't know.
But you're like, why am I even here?
Yeah. And I remember telling one of the ladies, in there, she's like, "What you good? What's going on?" They have you for the check. She was like, "Girl, you gonna sit down, So I just think I didn't know until later, and then in my adulthood, like I never got to process. Do my kids remember that moment? How did they feel? Like, you know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
So in that moment, I don't think that the shame was that I gotta go explain to my mom and why I got arrested, and I'm still not understanding why I got arrested. Because I didn't know it was even a crime to bounce a check.
Well, then also, too, you're not really thinking about the shame your kids now have.
Yeah.
The shame.
I don't think they were too young. They were all.
Oh, they didn't, yeah.
I mean, they see the cops as taking mommy, but mommy came right back, but I don't.
That affected somebody.
No, yeah, they got, yeah. But at that time, I didn't understand what that could have done in that moment, yeah.
Who would think?
But it was the community shame, though. Of like having to come back because remember I told the cop, can you meet me around the block?
Around the corner.
Cause my neighbor's outside. Now let me tell you, I was on Section 8, but I always made sure I lived in nice middle class communities where they didn't take Section 8. Cause I didn't want to have to live in certain, I'm a single mom with my kids. So now being one and only black people on the block, they gotta see the black woman get taken.
And now you get arrested with your 5 kids.
So now I got a spotlight. People they don't know. They're like trying to figure out why. Yeah.
And they don't know it's for something stupid and insignificant.
Yeah.
Like a bounce check. That's so ridiculous. Yeah. And a waste of taxpayer money. I am personally, as a taxpayer, offended. That they wasted my money doing that foolishness.
Yeah. If that was in 2004. If it was fast forward, they would have been playing J. Cole. The neighbors think I'm selling dope outside my house or something like that, cause I'm like, they got 2 cop squads coming to arrest me for this.
Exactly.
It looked more than like
SWAT.
Yeah.
SWAT was at your house.
Yeah. Well, we'll tell that on episodes 2. I had one little thing that happened back in the day, but that was it. We taught that too. That's episode 2. Season 2.
I can't thank you enough.
Yeah.
For coming, Sheena. To ask someone to come and share their shame is a real tough ask. When we're saying, who's your my honey, we're talking about undeserved shame, but it's still a pain point, a moment in your life that has impacted other parts of your life, but also, in my view, is the source of your superpower. And when I thought about this podcast, as I said to you, I immediately thought of you. And how much you have helped people be relieved of undeserved shame, to have a clean slate, and that you took that experience in your life where you were arrested for nothing.
Foolishness.
Rubbish,
as they say in Jamaica. Rubbish.
And I think it definitely contributed to your empathy, your commitment, your activism, your sense of purpose. And I do like the P's with you.
Yeah.
Pain to purpose, pain to policy, But it really is important for our audience, for our community to hear your story, and to recognize that $87.26 turned into $300+ million.
It made you what you are. The $87.26 was your friend.
Yes.
It may not have been at the moment, but look at it. Millions of people because of that $87. That's crazy.
So it just goes to show what we can accomplish if we don't define ourselves in maybe the way that other people are trying to define us. Yeah. So thank you.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah.
Suzanne and I would like to thank our executive producers, Kobe Proctor, Anya Mendoza, and Jessica Hurley, as well as the entire One United Bank, Circle of One Marketing, and Epic Media team. The Who's Your My Honey show was created in collaboration and produced by One United Bank and Epic Media. Recorded at the Hive Studio This series is to amplify stories that transform undeserved shame into superpower, the resilience and leadership skills needed to build generational wealth and economic empowerment. If this conversation moves you, share it, subscribe, and join our community. Thanks.